All right, welcome back. Now, for the first time in Nigeria's recent history, the House of Representatives summoned the president to appear before them to provide an explanation for the deteriorating state of the country's security. Initially, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, met with the president to fix a date for the appearance, and later the president's media aide said he would honor the invite last Thursday. Now, House to the D-Day, the Attorney General of the Federation released a statement saying the National Assembly lacked the constitutional powers to summon the president, while the Deputy Senate President Ovie Omoagege also said that the constitutional democracy did not make provision for the parliament to summon the president at will. Many Nigerians had hoped that the president's appearance will afford the nation to know the opportunity now to know why security situation in the country insecurity situation in the country is escalating. And of course, Thursday eventually came and the president did not show up as many people had envisaged. But what exactly is the position of the law on this? Monday Ubani, a lawyer and former second vice president of the Nigerian Bar Association, joins us now on the program to make legal sense of all of this. Now, Mr. Bani, thank you very much for joining us on the program.
Yeah, thank you, Oni, for having me.
First off, I should ask you, are you disappointed? Did you see this coming?
Well, I was not disappointed because I was not hopeful and I expected that the president would honor that invitation. Despite the assurances that was given by the speaker, Gbajabiamila, when he had a meeting with the president in Aso Villa, he came out smiling and then described the president in a high-falutin description. He gave him a very good description that he's a Democrat and he's also a father of the nation, that he had given assurance that he will actually honor the invitation. So they are working out the modalities as to time and the date that the president will actually honor that invitation. I wasn't all that enthusiastic about it because I know something like this will happen. And so as the president now has failed to honor that invitation, I'm not disappointed because that has always been the particular character that has been ascribed to the president. He feels that every other person is a student, whereas he is the teacher, so there is this particular, I don't know, they give him a description as a father of the nation to whom nobody should query, nobody should ever, demand, governance or criticize, and if you do that, then it's like you are unpatriotic. You could also see the attack that was given to Gbajabiamila and the rest, by the APC stakeholders who were describing invitation as something that is dishonorable, something that shouldn't have happened in the first place. And then he had to answer that the president has the opportunity of either honoring or dishonoring the invitation, which he has actually done now because the stakeholders of APC was very annoyed with that particular invitation, and they made it especially clear that the president should not honor that invitation. And I'm sure that was why the Attorney General was looking for a place in the Constitution in order to justify the dishonoring of that invitation.
So now let me just ask you straight: does the Parliament have the powers to summon the president?
We operate a very peculiar constitution. The 1999 Constitution has provisions. If you look at the combined effect of Section 88 and that of 89, any subject that the Legislative Assembly has power, what we call legislative competence on, they have a right to invite whosoever is involved to honor their invitation if they want to cause an inquiry or investigation to be carried out. Now, the issue is issue of security. You and I were aware of the current situation in the country where lives have been lost on a daily basis. And then there was this particular incident in Borno State where 40-something persons were murdered in a day. And it caused outrage in the entire country. And people were very, very worried. I said, what is actually going on? We spend so much on security, yet we are not secure. And so the president needs to give an explanation what is actually going on, whether he has the capacity to secure Nigeria or whether there is an issue that is actually bedeviling the issue of securing Nigeria so that they can, come in either by way of legislative enactment or by way of probably providing more funds. And that is the purpose. So the issue is that security is a matter that is clearly within the competence of the National Assembly. And secondly, they have also appropriated sums of money, various sums of money for issue of security. And so if you have done that by way of appropriation, and if you have competence also to legislate on issue of security, the law says under Section 88 that you have a right to invite any person to come and answer certain questions with regard to areas you have legislative competence. And in doing that, you require some evidence, some other material documentary evidence to come and prove whatever is happening in that area where they have legislative competence. So issue of security is clearly within the legislative competence of the National Assembly. And it's something that requires an answer as to what is happening. And we all, at this point in time, must work in a collaborative effort in order to find out what is actually happening with this state of insecurity in the country. And so it's something that the president has a moral obligation, constitutional obligation to honor, because it's a national issue. It's not a personal inquiry into his privacy. No, it is an inquiry that has to do with national issues, security.
And so I'm surprised that... Please go ahead.
Yes, I'm surprised that the Attorney General was now saying that under Section 214 of the 1999 Constitution, which is the issue of operational management of the armed forces, that the president has exclusivity and cannot in any way be questioned or cannot in any way answer any question with regards to issue of security. Security does not acquire magic wand. That the moment you mention it, everyone becomes scared. It's under the dictatorship regime. You now begin to, appropriate security as something that is clearly, within the privilege of the head of state, who cannot share such information with the citizens. But under democracy, where lives are involved, where the state is involved, all the three arms of government must all find a solution to the intractable problem of insecurity in the country. So the president cannot just use the word security as a magic wand that will scare every other citizen in the country from making inquiry into it, or how he has been managing the armed forces, how he has been spending funds to secure lives and property and others. So that is clearly a misinterpretation and misunderstanding of the provision of the Constitution with regards to what the Honorable Attorney General has actually advised the President on.
And you know that shortly after the AGF issued that statement, the Deputy Senate President also came out to say that the President cannot be compelled to come before the Senate, that he could come if he wanted to, but not in the manner in which, or maybe he couldn't be summoned. And he did make some points. Maybe if my producer can find that video shortly, we'll play it so that you can also listen to it. But then some people have said again that instead of the President coming before the Parliament, it could have just, the lawmakers could have just summoned the service chiefs. What do you make of that position?
I see nothing wrong in summoning the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. There is somebody that in this country that everything stops at his table, and that is the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Over time, they have passed resolution that the President should change these service chiefs, that Nigerians are not satisfied with the level of security that has been provided by these service chiefs. And the President has actually ignored those resolutions. And so maybe one of the reasons why they invited him is to find out why he has dishonored the resolutions they have passed over the issue of change of the the service chiefs. So inviting the service chiefs, who are not the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, to me, it's clearly neither here nor there. So I think that the right thing they have done is to ask the man that is clearly in charge of security of this nation, that is the commander-in-chief, to come and give an explanation why we have been spending so much, and yet there is no security. And then, is there problems? Are there ways that the president will seek the collaborative effort of the National Assembly in order to ensure that Nigerians are secure? But let me tell you this. Issue of security and welfare of the citizens are clearly the first responsibility of any serious government. The moment any government fails to secure lives and property, that government has failed totally. And over time, we have not had proper security in this country. Lives have been lost on a daily basis. If it's not insurgents, in the northeast, it is the bandits, in the northwest. Virtually everywhere is not safe. Kidnappers down south. So the state of security is clearly in disarray and clearly in doubt. People now go to bed early because of state of insecurity in the country. So there is nothing wrong in assembly members who are the true representatives of the people to feel worried and say, let us find out from the commander-in-chief, CNT, to know what is actually going on. Is there issues with securing Nigeria? Is there issue of requiring more funds? Is there issue of operational capacity that is clearly in doubt? Those things are the things that they want to hear from a president that is actually worried also, just like the National Assembly members and the entire country. They were all worried about the state of insecurity. So I don't see the reason why anyone in his right sense will advise the president not to go, or like these governors did. Because I understand that the governors are afraid that if you open that floodgate, that the State House of Assembly members will also begin to invite them to come and answer, give answer to certain things that are happening in their various states. And so they are afraid that the president should not in any way create such a dangerous precedent, dangerous in quote for them. And so that's why they advise the president, before they know it, the Attorney General is looking for a section in the law in order to back up what they are doing politically. Because to me, they are trying to play politics. Even the Deputy Senate President you mentioned, I think he's also trying to play politics.
Speaking of the Deputy Senate President, we have that video now of where he was talking, saying it was not in support of the president appearing before the National Assembly. Let's just take a listen.
I don't think you've ever heard about President Trump, or Clinton or Bush or whoever served as president being invited to appear before the House of Representatives or the U.S. Senate, unless for purpose of laying of the budget and state of the nation. But in any event, we also have the concept of executive privilege. The executive arm, the president, has the power to claim executive privilege at any time. Any of such invitations are extended. It is not within the contemplation of the framers of the Constitution that the day will come where the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who heads the executive arm, will be invited to testify before either the House of Reps here or the Senate. Said, no, I do not support that. I don't believe that the president should come.
Well, that was the Deputy Senate President speaking now on the invitation extended to the President to appear before the House of Representatives. Now, Barrister Obani, you heard the Deputy Senate President talking there about, he mentioned quite a number of times, executive privilege. What exactly do you make of that statement?
He was only talking politics. He was not speaking law. I had expected him now to cite the section of the Constitution specifically that actually give the president what they call executive privilege. What we know that the president enjoys is what they call immunity against prosecution. Cannot be prosecuted, cannot be dragged to court while he remains the president. The same with the vice, the same with the governor and deputy governors. These are people that have immunity under Section 308. But I don't have any particular section that talks about executive privilege. In any case, I have cited Section 88 that says anyone. Use the word anyone. Section 89, the same thing, anyone. And when anyone, is used in any particular context, it means everyone in that state. There's no express provision that says the president is excluded in the definition of anyone. So if anyone, is a public officer who has a responsibility that is being legislated upon, and I have mentioned the issue of security, on two grounds. The National Assembly has competence to legislate over security. They have also a responsibility under the Appropriation Act to appropriate funds every year by way of annual budget for security. And so if they make provision for security in the annual budget, the Constitution says they have a right to invite anyone that is involved in management of that fund for purposes of inquiry, for purposes of even correcting the defect of the law or even enacting law. So they may have invited the president to look at the set of laws, with regards to security, whether it requires strengthening in one way or the other. So there is nothing wrong in that. So I have cited a section of the Constitution. I had also expected the Deputy Senate President to cite a section of the Constitution that is making reference to, that talks about executive privilege, that will now stop a president that is elected by the people, who is invited by the representatives of the people. And I want to emphasize this. He was invited by the representatives of the people, and the people remain sovereign. If a president is clearly accountable, and the president has responsibility towards the people, I see no reason why some few politicians just gather and begin to misadvise the president. I'm very happy that when Gbajabiamila, the honorable speaker, came out of that meeting, he was very, in high spirit, was saying that we have a Democrat as the president. We have a father as the president. I don't know how he's going to feel now in the light of this present backpedaling that the president has just done, by dishonoring that invitation. I don't know whether he can still describe the president as a Democrat or as a father of the nation. So I don't think the president is doing himself good reputation, giving himself good reputation by actually dishonoring it, because he's actually, trying to shun the entire country, this entire Nigerian that have actually elected him both in 2015 and 2019, and that is very sad, clearly very sad.
Lastly now, Barrister Ubani, before I let you go, because we have to wrap this up very quickly. Now, going forward, let's talk about solution. Now, what exactly, where can the lawmakers take, where can they take it now from here?
Well, now that the president has refused to come and answer certain questions with regards to the issue of security, I think they have to devise more strategic means of getting information that will actually help, because we need to actually deal with the issue of state of insecurity in the country. Whichever way they're going to do it, whichever way they're going to do it, we need to get the country safe. We need to have our security, our architecture engineered for the sake of securing lives and property. This issue of rampant killing, you keep on hearing that people who are invaded in a village somewhere in Kaduna, the same thing in Borno and somewhere in Sokoto, and all that showing that there is a lack of presence of security men in those areas. We need to be more thoughtful. If it means getting more people of the locals involved in training and getting them involved in policing those environments, we should try as much as possible to do it. And I think that the legislative assembly have to come in here and be more innovative now in practically finding a solution. Let them not throw up their hands in clearly saying, oh, the president has not honored, so there's nothing we can do about it. All of us must get involved. And when I say all of us, everyone in this country must try as much as possible to contribute his or her own little quota towards securing the lives and properties of everyone that is in the nation. So both the judiciary, both the legislative assembly, both the executive, both the ministers, both the Nigerian citizens, both the governors, both the local government chairmen, and even the councillors at the local government level, all of us must have a joint collaborative effort in order to ensure that we have security in this particular country. That's why some of us have been clamoring for state policing. Can we try state policing and ensure that we have an arrangement of people at the locals trying to secure the environment, because they know the environment, they know the terrain, and they know the people that are within that environment. They can know who are criminals and those who are good citizens and all that. So we should attempt that that arrangement in order for us to secure our lives and property. If other nations have done it and have been secured, there is nothing wrong in trying it in this country in order to secure lives and property. Security is a very key issue. We must, as much as possible, secure our lives and property, and then have a peaceful nation in order for us to move forward as a nation. Exactly,
and I quite agree with you there, Barrister Ubani. Having a secured nation or demanding such is not too much to ask. Thank you very much, Barrister Monday Ubani, for speaking to us on the program. Thank you so much for your time.
Always.
Well, that's where we draw it a curtain on this episode of the program. Well, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.